Last night, Jimmy and I had to come to terms with some really difficult thoughts about Kent and the things that he was hearing and the things that he sees.
As an investigator, it's my job to look at this from multiple angles. Because of that, I have to humor the idea he's faking it.
I was really concerned that Kent was hearing things that Jimmy and I just were not hearing.
There's no way a car would do that. It sounded like a kid's voice right in front of my face. And I just saw a freaking dark orb just right at the top of your head. Is there a female voice say yes? No, I didn't know if I saw an orb moving in front of me or what.
I felt guilty that I had to think about that. Regardless of how real it may be, I still had to look at it in a perspective of it's potentially not real. Jimmy.
Just said Jimmy.
Hi. That was insane. So going into this was very challenging in the sense of not hyping myself up and not getting myself too wired into one particular idea. If he was faking it or if he was over exaggerating it, I am fully prepared to expose that.
You need to be really aware of other people, whether they're fellow investigators or property owners or homeowners who you're coming to investigate for, because a lot of the time people will just be blatant liars and they just want attention, or they just want to be like an internet celebrity, so they'll falsify a lot of things. And you really just need to not follow what other people say so much. You really just need to rely on your own tools, your own equipment, and your intuition, because your intuition will tell you a lot about other people. If your gut tells you someone's bullshitting, then they're probably bullshitting.
I'm really careful to claim something's paranormal. Even with the thing that jumped out of the window that's all over the frickin' internet.
Yeah.
I've never once said that was paranormal related. I never said that was a spirit. I don't know what that was.
He says, well, I'm Kent or Burris or whatever. He says, and I've been talking to your cousin. So what, what cousin, And he says, your cousin Jenny. Well, my cousin Jenny died in the 70s. She was murdered by a serial killer, her husband. A week later, we went to where my cousin was murdered, where she was dismembered, her head cut off, her hands cut off. Jesus. The guy spread her out all over the place. All we have and were buried was her head and her hands. We were out there and he had me digging holes. I'm digging. He said, I gotta have a cigarette. He runs off to his car. Next thing you know, he's like, oh, look at this. And right there on top of the pile are bones.
Oh my God.
Was the Lamb House ever used as a funeral home itself?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
So day one is over, and Luke and I go back to the hotel. I had to relay to Luke that I had some thoughts about Kent. I just couldn't shake the idea that Kent was not being extremely genuine.
I do think he confuses a lot of his evidence that can be explained by natural means, but I don't think he does it intentionally. I think he's just been in that damn house for so long. I think he's losing his faculties a bit. I think sometimes he wants to hear or see something, and he'll actually fool himself into thinking it's true, and then he'll relay it to me or to Jimmy, and we're kind of like, I don't think that's what that is. But I don't think Kent does it maliciously or intentionally.
He was more open-minded to the idea that maybe Kent was just crazy. But still, I'm thinking if Kent's just crazy, then that means that Shadow Dude, those videos or the shadow figure, if he's crazy, then what is that?
There has been a clip or two in question that makes you wonder the validity or the authenticity of it, because I think once you capture evidence that's that strong, you feel the need to keep it going, or else people will tune out and leave the channel.
So I had to analyze Kent further, and I really had to analyze those videos a bit further. I also needed to take into account the things that Kent was telling me about the house, telling me about Edmund Lamb, telling me about himself, telling me all of these things that I needed to be able to verify.
Kent soared to popularity on the internet with his captivating videos, drawing in a massive audience and even catching the attention of a news crew eager to explore the phenomenon.
Ken Burris never wanted to believe in the paranormal.
Believe it or not, I am a skeptic. And for me to believe something is paranormal, they need to prove it to me that this is paranormal related.
His rise was meteoric, prompting numerous reaction videos from intrigued viewers.
Bro, that's that weird little thing again.
There he is, in the window again.
And it goes underneath the beds.
What the hell is that noise?
Son of a bitch!
Oh, this is that's
There
it,
he
yeah.
is, in the window again.
Look at you in the window! Fucking hell, mate!
Went under the bed. After I viewed the video from this encounter.
What the fuck? So how casual is he? He's like, there he is in the window, and under the bed.
However, as the spotlight would shine brighter on Kent, my curiosity deepened. Diving into the intricacies of his content, I found myself repeatedly dissecting his videos, each viewing revealing new layers. The more I delved, the more certain patterns emerged.
Alyssa's here. Hey, Alyssa. He just said, hey, Alyssa. This is Luke. Hi, Luke.
Subtle nuances that hinted at a carefully crafted narrative, rather than spontaneous, authentic moments. It was as if his success was meticulously engineered through staged scenes and manipulated reactions.
What the hell is that noise?
Son of a bitch!
Hope you guys say something or do something. Oh my God! No! Oh. Oh my God!
Inspired by YouTubers like Captain Disillusion, I set out to recreate some of Kent's viral videos.
Okay, there he is, in the window again. Went under the bed.
There he is, up in the window again. He's gone under the bed.
Okay, there he is, in the window again. Went under the bed. I'm uploading a YouTube video now. Adam's coming over tonight. We're going to do a complete walkthrough. Hope you guys say something or do something. Oh my God! No! Oh.
Uploading a YouTube video now. Adam's coming over tonight. I'm gonna do a complete walkthrough. I hope you guys do something. Say something. Oh my God! No! No!
I'm uploading a YouTube video now. Adam's coming over tonight. We're going to do a complete walkthrough. Hope you guys say something or do something. Oh my God! No! Oh.
After breaking down these videos and remaking them, I'm left with the conclusion that these videos are not genuine pieces of paranormal evidence at all, that they have been fabricated. And I believe I make a pretty strong case to stand behind that. It breaks my heart, to be honest with you, because I wanted nothing more than for those videos to be real. I wanted nothing more than for all of the evidence that he presented on his channel to be genuine. You know, aside from maybe a couple of mistakes and stuff like that, you know, he's fooled himself, or, you know, at some point, when you're living in a house that's active like this one is, I believe you would begin to lose your filter on being able to tell what's paranormal and what isn't. Every little click and pop and sound could be misconstrued as something paranormal. But when it comes to these two pieces of evidence in particular, I'm left with it's meant to deceive you. So for this, the way I did it was I'm filming low and close, and you know, I'm doing the narration or whatever. And once I turn to this area, it starts getting a little bit darker, and then I get up close over here and it gets darker, but that's because of the way the room is set. His room is a lot smaller, so he potentially could just be going like this. But there's a point where he's facing a black area, a shadow area here. And that is when the whole screen goes black. You would cut in that software at this point and then be coming back out. And when we come back out, the prop would be set up over here, ready to go. So I'm gonna put my ghost here up like this, and so we make sure that it sort of as closely resembles as we can. It's not perfect. Sure, there's some dimensions that are different, but overall it's about the same kind. You get the idea. And again, now that I've set that up, I can resume filming from here because the screen is black, and turn around and now, oh my God. And then again, I turn and the screen turns black one more time, just like in his video. All you do is you come over here, knock it over, or get rid of it, however you want. Feed it to the dog. And then this time we're coming in from this angle, and it's gone. And all it takes is just some jump cutting whenever the screen is up here in the black. You have to use exposure in such a way. I was using it at 130, and then added a little brightness and contrast to it in post, and that was all it took.
I'm really careful to claim something's paranormal. Even with the thing that jumped out of the window that's all over the frickin' internet.
Yeah.
I've never once said that was paranormal related. I never said that was a spirit. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
Personally, I believe that a spirit had an article of my clothing playing with it and took off with it. That's what I personally believe. But there again, there's people that analyzed it closely and said, no, that's a spirit. I mean, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I was looking on the floor. That's why I picked up the black teddy bear. I'm like, that's too small.
You're talking about it was a black, see,
jumped out of the window. A lot of people said that was a cat, that.
Well, I don't get it's a cat. When I saw it, I'm like, that looks like fabric. You know, it's interesting.
And see, if it was an actual fabric, what's strange is I had a nice black dress shirt that disappeared.
Really?
I never, it was a nice black button-up shirt, completely disappeared. I have no idea what happened to it.
Huh.
Okay, there he is, in the window again.
Now to break down this video,
went under the bed.
I'll tell you how I went about doing it. It was a bit tedious to do. Getting tape to stick to the window was not easy, but overall, and through perseverance and trying a few different items to be my ghost, I think I was able to recreate this pretty well. At first, I used a black button-up shirt, because if you'll remember, during my conversation with Kent, he said that a nice black button-up shirt just seemingly disappeared. He wasn't able to find it anymore. Now, look, I can read between the lines, and the more I watched this video, the more painfully evident it became to me that this whole thing was staged. Now, there was something about the way that this thing came off of the window. It almost looks to peel off in a very strange pattern. And it took me watching it over and over and over, and then trying things, and then I figured out what was going on here. Now, first of all, I ditched the shirt and switched it for a trash bag. I'm not convinced that it was a trash bag, but that's what I was able to use. Trash bag was very light, and when you watch his video, the sound that the trash bag makes compared with my video, compared to his, is very similar. I'm still willing to bet that it's probably a nice black button-up shirt, perhaps silk or something super lightweight like that. The way I did this was I tied fishing line to this trash bag. And as you can see here, Kent definitely has fishing line in his house. The tricky thing about this video is when you watch the way this object peels from the window, it does it in a very interesting way. And it took me a couple times to figure out how this was done. The fishing line is anchored at the top, where the trash bag or shirt is stuck to either the window frame or the curtain rod. Now, I used Scotch tape to secure it. Then after the anchored part is taped up, we then tape the bottom and a part to the right. We tape all this up onto the window. And what happens is when you pull on this, the top shoots down first, and everything seems to kind of peel off the window in a very strange way. It's very brilliant. It looks unnatural, but when you watch these side by side, you can see major similarities between the way his moves compared to the way mine moves. Now, there was a telltale sign to me that this video was faked. And that is, when you watch this video, I encourage you to listen to Kent. Listen to him. Pay attention to him and his camera.
Okay, there he is in the window again. Went under the bed.
As humans, when we do something physically exerting, what do? We inhale on the preparation, and then we exhale on the execution. Now, in my video, it's a bit more exaggerated. Everything's a bit more exaggerated. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to be able to point out that there are certain things that are happening in Kent's video that need to be focused upon. If you watch how Kent is filming this, his phone is up. If you look at the bottom left, our left of the window, you can see the curtain kind of flipping around. Now, if you look at my video, it does the same thing, a bit more exaggerated. In his video, the curtain is kind of flipping. And then you hear him say, there he is up in the window again. And then you hear Kent take in a deep breath.
Okay, there he is in the window again.
Now, upon that thing shooting under the bed, if you listen, you hear Kent exhale at the same time. And as he does that, the camera moves back at the same speed that whatever this is in the window shoots under the bed. So it's as if he's pulling on something. And when he pulls on it, it's moving just as fast as this thing goes underneath the bed, which tells me that it is moving with his weight. And again, the inhale on the preparation and the exhale on the execution. When I saw that and heard that, I realized right then and there that this video is fake. 100% fake. There's nothing real about it at all. I don't think that every video or every piece of evidence that is on Kent's channel is fake. But at this point, I know at least 2 videos are. I can only show and say 2 because I could sit here and break down all kinds of videos that are on there. But the idea is I've planted the seed in the viewer. Now that you know at least 2 of these videos are not real, go and scrutinize and look at his videos further. I don't believe all of his videos are fake. I believe he actually has some things going on. But I also think that there's some sensationalizing going on here. Tell me about Edmund Lamb.
Edmund Lamb lived here in Carmel. He was born here. His parents and his grandparents are from the Carmel area. He moved to Bangor for a while to learn the casket building business and undertaking business. And then in the 1880s, he came back here to Carmel and became the undertaker. From what I've gathered and what I've been able to put together, based on 2 years worth of studies, The Lamb House here was actually put together in sections, and it's my belief that he wanted to put this here for his undertaking business, because he couldn't do his undertaking business or bring bodies to his business behind the house, because that was obviously a store. So he had to set up, some place to do his undertaking business and build his caskets separate from his other business. And I believe that's why he put this house together. This main section here is actually an old school building that was here in Carmel that he purchased back in 1898, I believe. And he moved it here in the spot. And the dining room and what I call the witch's window room was actually another section that was moved here from another location and attached to the house he built the garage on. And then in 1906, he built what is now the kitchen area on and conducted pretty much a funeral home business out of this house. And he was the undertaker up until 1919. He was married to Hattie Lamb. They had 2 kids, Edna and Gladwin. But other than that, as far as any further information on him, it's kind of limited.
My name is Marvin D. Graves. I'll be 90 years old this coming February. We just seem to know the history of the town. And we try to capture the history as best we can in writing. We do all kinds of scanning of stuff like that. I really don't know a lot about Ed Lamb. He was a funeral director here. He used to, I suppose, lay out people, and he also used to sing at funerals.
Was the Lamb House ever used as a funeral home itself?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Back then, I used to go to funerals when I was a kid, and all the funerals that I went to, there was no place to, like the funeral homes today. But the people would be right in the homes where they died. They'd have the funeral right there.
While I was there, Kent mentioned to me several times about a guy that ran a channel called the Ghosts of Carmel, Maine.
And that's something I made very clear in that dumbass that has Ghosts of Carmel, Maine, that told everybody how I'm destroying a man's reputation, how I'm tarnishing his name. And like I didn't say the guy did kill her.
Right.
All right, I'm not claiming that. I said based on the paranormal evidence, these spirits are saying it happened.
I'm thinking, well, okay, if this guy is out there saying all these things about Kent, there has to be a reason. And it became evident to me that this guy is, in a way, a part of the story, a part of the whole, the whole picture as to the history of the Ghosts of Carmel, Maine channel. And it would probably be a good idea to reach out to this guy.
One day I was dropping my wife off at work, and I was approached by Ken. He comes up and he says, "Hey, you David Sear?" And I said, "Yep." And he says, "Well, I'm Ken or Burris or whatever." He says, "And I've been talking to your cousin." Now, I'm from this town. I have a lot of relatives here. Well, geez, so what? What cousin? And he says, "Your cousin Jenny." Well, my cousin Jenny died in the 70s. She was murdered by a serial killer, her husband. Like a week later, we went to where my cousin was murdered, where she was dismembered, her head cut off, her hands cut off.
Jesus.
The guy spread her out all over the place. All we have and were buried was her head and her hands. But so he brought me to that place. We did a thing. Now, I want to tell you on this. This was the first actual investigation, but the third time I'd done anything with him. We were out there and he had me digging holes. I'm digging. He said, I got to have a cigarette. He runs off to his car. Next thing you know, he's like, oh, look at this. And right there on top of the pile are bones.
Oh my God.
And they're really white, but you could tell that they sat somewhere because they were broken and there was like moss on them, so they'd been sitting outside, but they weren't buried in the ground. But right there immediately, and in the video you could see my eyes, and I look at my wife and I'm like, what the fuck did he just do here? Because it seemed very obvious to me that them weren't there, because like I said, we were digging and it's almost to the clay. So I'm only getting like a tiny little bit of stuff in the shovel each time, and I'm throwing it in that pile, and we can see there's nothing in it. We've never seen them bones again after that day. It went into the video. They were never seen again. They weren't talked about. All of a sudden he pulled out this cross that he made. It was her birth date and the day she died. And I said, well, fuck, man. Any guy that's going to do this, go out of his way to do this, he must have a big heart. He wouldn't have just threw them bones there. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being too skeptic. Maybe I read that wrong. So I give him a shot. We set the thing in. He puts it all on video and does this heartwarming fucking thing at me and my wife there. Dude, I even got fucking tears in my eyes because legitimately I felt this shit. I was just a little kid, man. My whole life, my family it's been a touchy thing,
Those bones, I guess, could have been in that hole and completely overlooked. It could have happened. So that's fine. But there was something in his story that really stuck out to me. And that was that at the end of all this, Kent brought out a cross, sort of an in memoriam for Jenny. The fact that he brought out this cross out of nowhere kind of struck me as a little odd. And I asked David, I said, did Kent and you guys come back like the next day or another day and put this cross up? And David said, no, he actually had it that day that they went out there and filmed this whole video. Now that tells me that Kent already knew how that video was going to end. It's extremely fishy. It would be one thing if they go out there and, David's digging and they find these bones and Kent had no idea that these bones were there. And then he decides to come back at another time with this cross that he put together as an in memoriam. That seems a little bit more real. It seems a little bit more, like completely unexpected. But the fact that he had brought that cross with him the very day that they went out there, that says to me that he had already written the way that story was going to go. On day 2, Luke and I find ourselves in the basement of Kent's house. And I noticed this little area in the back corner underneath of the stairs. What was this area used for, you think?
Well, you thought it was a crematory, but it turns out it was actually the vault where you could store 2 bodies.
Huh.
For wintertime.
Right. Self-refrigerated.
It was actually built as a crematory, though.
Really?
Because I looked it up and it was perfect. It's the exact designs for crematories that were designed in the late 1800s.
Right.
Now, whether he actually used it or not, I don't know.
I didn't say much, but I knew that was bullshit. No one's going to have a crematory in their house. In order to burn a body, you have to have hot heat. Hot. Let alone the heat. Let's not forget to mention the smell. You're not going to have that in your house, in your basement, under your kitchen. It's just not going to happen. Now, the claim of, well, it was used to store bodies. If the ground's frozen, it's pretty difficult to dig a hole big enough to bury a body. So I'll give them that you do need to store bodies during that time. You'd have to store bodies, but not in your basement, of the family home where you're raising your children, I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen. Anybody here with us right now?
Is Abby down here? Is Abby under the house? Does her female voice say yes? Did you just say yes? Is Abby buried under the house?
We're asking questions, and Kit raises up with, is Abby down here? And shortly thereafter, he says, I just heard a woman say yes.
Does her female voice say yes?
Luke didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. So, of course, that raised my suspicion into, I'm thinking that Kent is really trying to sort of take Luke and I for a ride. He's putting on a show. That's what I'm thinking. And then the camera shuts off.
Who killed Abby? Jesus.
That kind of lowered my suspicion a little. It definitely distracted me from being as suspicious. And again, in the moment, I thought that it was great. I thought that was really fantastic. But as I went through the footage later, I was less impressed. I would be more impressed with this footage if Kent didn't have his hand in his pocket at the time that the camera shuts off. I have to look at this from a skeptical point of view. If there are people that are watching this that are full-blown skeptics, they're going to see that. I can only speculate that because Kent had his hand in his pocket, that he had a remote control in there, and that's what shut it off. And I do know that these particular types of cameras that Kent had come with a remote control. So it seems he just had his camera just shut off on him?
Yep.
No one was touching it, no one was over there?
Nope. It was recording too.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild. Can you tell us who just turned off his camera?
Is there a reason you don't want that camera going?
I'm gonna go stand over there for a minute.
Did you just say something?
There's a device called the Ovulus. And the way this thing works is it's apparently a dictionary. And from what I understand, spirits are meant to be able to mess with the EMF and use this device to say words to communicate with investigators. It was built as a device for paranormal research.
The tricky thing about the Ovulus is I really don't have much knowledge about how it works beyond that it's simply a digital dictionary of, all the English words, and there's no real input method. Like there's an on and off switch, and then there's a phonetic or dictionary mode switch. You can't tamper with it. You can't make it say certain things. So sometimes people will take what it says and just, mash it into what they want it to be referencing. But Yeah, the ovulus is very mysterious.
Kent has a very primitive ovulus, and I thought it would be cool to go ahead and use that. So we conduct an ovulus session.
Mandy, 10, Saturn, 0, Summer, Young Mandy, 6, Projection, Round, Alright, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Just said Jimmy.
Hi. That was insane. This thing said my name. I mean, it was crystal clear. It said Jimmy. Now, I'll admit it was saying a bunch of things, but it wasn't really saying names over and over or anything like that. The things that it was saying over and over. Things like shot or Japanese or just a bunch of different words that didn't make any sense to what we were talking about or what we were doing. So when it randomly said my name, that was definitely something that was pretty cool.
Never heard it talk this much.
Yeah.
It's
Going nonstop.
Spirit, Century,
It said
Intelligence, Fact, Slay, Near, Still,
Slayed you, killed. Said slayed me, killed.
What mode is it in right now?
Butter,
Dictionary.
Program, Errand,
I want to ask things, but it just won't stop talking.
See, Near, Your, Young, Trail, Selium, Veronica, 7, Net,
I've never heard, in anything I've ever seen,
George,
I've never heard an ovulus just go. So.
and
What about the ghost?
Actors, Night, Larry, Norn, and Jane, Company, Wind, Old, Mary, Yid, Lie, Car, Deal, Chair,
I've never heard of this.
Narrow,
Change the
Yeah,
modes.
let's change mode.
is on that mode.
Hello?
We're getting some sort of interference here.
Help,
Help?
Help.
help,
Help again. Who's asking for help?
sir,
Who needs help?
I,
You do?
Said I. What do you need help with?
Can you tell us what you need help with? Can you tell us your name?
sir,
Scared? Is that what he said?
I don't know. It's like it's breaking in words.
Help. It
Help
just keeps
again.
saying help.
help,
Help?
Wow.
help,
Need help.
help,
Wow.
They're here. Help.
Who's here?
I,
Hiding.
You know, I'm not one. Okay, here we go. There's a. Alright, I was thinking I was seeing a board. I was about to call it out, but then once I saw that piece of whatever that was.
These bugs died off, and when it got warm in the 60s for a couple days, they rehatched.
What other modes does it have?
Reverse automatic mode.
Reverse automatic.
Who needs help?
Are allowed and code change.
To verify this is actually working, we understand that you are using this. Can you say my name, please?
Thunder.
I just heard my name's said by female disembodied voice. Coming to use the Ovilus, please, the spirit box.
Electric loud.
Electric loud.
Cat. Views. Terminal. Dollars. Paranormal. Ready. Did. Tom. Sanderet. Shot. Almost.
Problem with using that is just limited on the word that can use to communicate.
Knowledge. Happiness. Type. Spirit.
Spirits.
Team. Sample. Car. Carrot. Combat. English.
Evelyn?
English. Jimmy.
Jimmy.
7.
You say Jimmy again?
Killed. Kill.
Can you say Luke?
Heard. Direct.
Our Ovilus session was very interesting. The fact that it said my name was absolutely astonishing to me. The fact that it kept saying help over and over was also pretty intriguing. Again, there's no way to manipulate this device and make it say things that, you know, like there's just no way to do that. And I know that Kent had nothing to do with it, and Kent seemed just as astonished by the results as Luke and I were, which, you know, also told me that, you know, this was something that was genuine and something that was unexplainable going on. Not only did it say my name once, but it also said it again later. And upon asking it to say Luke, I heard it say what sounded like Millette.
Direct.
You guys want to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm freaking hungry.
Sure, man, yeah.
All I'm going to do is ruin our freaking recordings with my growling stomach.
I had brought my Tascam room recorder with me, and I had recorded the entire day. Just turned it on and let it run completely the entire day. Sometimes it was in the same room with us. Other times it was not. I left the recorder in the kitchen, and we left the house. At first, we were out on the porch having cigarettes and talking and kind of discussing things and, you know, just shooting the shit, as it were. And then eventually we walk over to the gas station, which is right next door. That's where the pizza was at. So it was within walking distance. You're over there. You could throw a rock and hit this gas station from where Kent lives. So we leave, and I left the recorder on. And my recorder captured some very interesting things going on in the house while there was nobody there. as Kent and Luke and I were over at the gas station, there were some really interesting sounds happening, what sounded like in the kitchen. There was a couple of clicks that happened, which those could be anything. I'm not going to really relate that as paranormal. It just seems strange that there was any kind of noise like that going on in the house while there was no one there. But the thing that really stood out to me was an EVP that was captured. Hearing that voice, to me, it sounds like it's saying, right here. Capturing EVPs in Kent's home at this point is nothing new. It's also nothing short of incredible. And by far, EVPs are my favorite forms of, evidence for the paranormal or something supernatural. I don't know what they are, but the common belief is that they're the spirits of people who have passed away. They're the voices of these spirits. And if that's true, who are these people?
Naomi Mitchell lived on Irish Road with her mother and father, Phineas and Evelyn.
Naomi Mitchell was a young 14-year-old girl, nice-looking girl. They lived up on the Irish Road, and her dad, Phineas Mitchell, which I knew very well, and I used to cut wood, so he used to file my saw blades. That was her father.
And on July 24th, 1912, her mother wasn't feeling good, so Naomi told her mother she's going to go to the store and pick up a few items for her.
She went down there, a 14-year-old girl, nice-looking girl, went down and got some groceries for her mother.
On her way back from the store, she never made it home.
And she never came home. So the next morning they found where she had put up quite a fight right there by the road, and he had dragged her into the woods.
And the next day they found her body at the corner of Irish and Fuller Road, past a cornfield, and she was raped and murdered. Her throat was slashed.
And murdered her, dissected some of her, as I understand it, and some of their parts were missing, and some were dangling around in the trees.
They arrested a man a few days later, J. Sherman Gray, for her murder.
There was a guy in there by the name of Sherman Gray who was kind of watching her. And some of the guys was kind of teasing him and telling him that he should go and date her.
J. Sherman Gray ended up pleading guilty for that murder, and he spent the rest of his life in prison.
As far as I know, some people say that he may not have been guilty.
I don't believe J. Sherman Gray murdered her, and neither does the Mitchell family. I believe J. Sherman Gray was a scapegoat, somebody to blame for the murder, and that's based not only on paranormal evidence, but records that I looked into. Things just don't add up.
I've looked over a lot of the Bangor Daily News articles from that period. My wife and I did that, and it looked pretty much so that he was guilty.
But Naomi Mitchell, when they discovered her body was actually brought here to the Lamb House, and inside this house is where the coroner from Bangor did an autopsy on Naomi right in his house. Rachel Mitchell was born in 1892. Her death date is unknown. Her burial place is unknown. I did talk to a local resident here. He's, much older. When I talked to him about one of the Mitchell girls that was allegedly committed suicide, he does remember hearing that what happened was she became pregnant out of wedlock, and she was shamed and pretty much basically called the town slut. And he said that she was distraught over it and committed suicide.
So you don't have any knowledge of a Rachel Mitchell that was pregnant and killed herself and was known as, a slutty type of person and all this stuff. You don't know anything about any of that?
Never heard of it. Never heard of it. No, I don't think there's any such thing.
Based on my investigations here at the Lamb House, these spirits say that Rachel was murdered. And I need to make it clear that this is all based on the paranormal activity, based on what these spirits say. They do claim that Edmund murdered her.
Edmund Lamb was on the first committee. He was the treasurer. He did most of the funding to build the first church in town.
Wow.
Edmund Lamb, the guy that's supposedly the murderer, the rapist, the guy, this guy. He also played in like a horn band or whatever. I think he actually played the bass drum though. He started telling stories about Edmund Lamb and all these people's families' names, like Rachel Mitchell, who never existed. She never existed. That's what nobody understands, is he made her up 100%. You cannot find any proof of her existing at all. You can find proof of every one of Phineas Mitchell's children except for her. And the Abby that he talks about, there's another one. There's no record of her either.
Based on records, there is no Abby. There's no Abby Mitchell to be found. However, the same person that talked to me about Rachel's, the suicide of Rachel, the old timer here in Carmel, did say that, Rachel's father, Naomi's father, Phineas, his wife and Phineas divorced not long after the death of Naomi.
I also heard that after Naomi died, that Phineas and Evelyn divorced. And that Phineas possibly had another child with another woman that he married later. Is there any truth to any of that?
I never heard of it.
This old timer told me that after the divorce between Phineas and Evelyn, that he did father more children. That he had more children of different women. That's based on what he told me. Now, is it possible Abby's one of these children he fathered? I don't know. I have no idea. I have nothing to confirm at this time. And when I do these investigations, I like complete confirmation over and over and over again who somebody is. That's why I will ask him repeatedly. Just like the Naomi Mitchell murder, who killed Naomi? I asked that so many times, I probably drove these spirits. In fact, I asked that so many times, the guy that killed Naomi Mitchell finally came out and said, "I did it." And he told me exactly how he did it. I have no doubt that was the spirit of the man that actually murdered Naomi. So I like confirmation. I want to make sure that I don't take what these spirits say once or twice and consider that to be concrete information. I haven't got concrete information on Abby. I haven't got anything that can confirm exactly who she is. I know she comes up a lot. In fact, she's been brought up quite a few times in this house. Did she commit suicide? Was she murdered? I don't know. Is she too buried under this house? I don't know. But all the evidence is starting to point to that's a very good possibility. She is buried under this house. Is the child spirit still here? Are you still here? Are you still looking for your mother? Hello? What? Did you say help me? Let me see if I can pick that up. I swear I heard a little voice say, help me. Still here? Are you still looking for your mother? Hello? There it is. What? What? Low voice said, help me. Right there. What? What? Did you hear it?
I can't make anything out.
Hello? What?
I think different people are picking up different voices. Because it's weird that Jimmy and I both heard one that you did not hear.
Right. Well, even on a recording, though. We move the investigation upstairs to Kent's bedroom. And Kent starts talking about a child spirit. Is there a child spirit? Are you still here? And it seems that he hears a voice that doesn't come through on the audio, yet again, doesn't affect myself or Luke. We don't hear it, but Kent's pretty convinced that he hears it and that he has a recording of it. So he's playing me the recording, and I'm just not picking it up. Now, earlier in the evening, Luke and I in the basement did hear a voice that seemingly came from nowhere, and Kent didn't hear it, which was interesting. I didn't put it in the documentary because our audio didn't capture it. So it's one of those things where if I can't show that this is something that we experienced with evidence, I'm not interested in putting it in the documentary. Luke mentions, that he thinks maybe people are picking up on different voices because, he and I heard a voice that Kent didn't hear earlier in the evening. But my argument against that is that Kent was showing me a recording. He had recorded what he felt was a voice, but I wasn't hearing it. And if it's in a recording, I should be able to hear it regardless of this theory that Luke has. So I have to disagree with my partner. I don't think that anything was happening at all here. Either Kent was, again, trying to persuade us that something was going on when it really wasn't, or Kent is fooling himself into believing something's going on that just flat out is not going on.
Guys want to ask questions?
Anybody up here with us?
Yeah. This is going reversed in.
So we got two spirit boxes going at the same time here. And that's the noise pollution. Kent wanted to bring in a secondary spirit box into the investigation while we were upstairs. And I wasn't really sure what purpose that would serve. But I've never seen anybody do it. And, by all means, let's try things and let's see what happens.
Hello?
Away from.
That voice is on both just now. Who's here with us in this house right now?
What's interesting is that one's not picking up as much chatter. Like this one over here, it's running at the same speed backwards, running through the bands backwards. But this one's so much more chattery.
Theoretically, both of these spirit boxes, they're identical spirit boxes, they should be receiving the same amount of chatter on both of them. If it's all radio, they should both be reacting the same way. But that wasn't what was going on. One seemed to have much more chatter than the other one. And these things are only about 10 to 15 feet apart from each other. There's really no reason that I can think of why one would be quieter than the other one.
Can you please tell us what your name is?
What? Outside, Kent? You guys hear that?
I didn't.
Outside, Kent.
Outside. Outside. Yeah, I heard that.
What's going on outside?
Now it seems a bit quieter.
What's going on outside?
It said cold, didn't it? Did you hear cold?
I heard something like that.
Keep saying outside. We're not outside.
Do you want us to go outside? Outside.
I'm going to turn this other one off.
Oh, sorry, man. Sorry.
What's outside?
You guys keep hearing hide.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Who do you want to hide? When you hear those light little voices, that's definitely true. When they're talking. Can you say that again, please? Why do you want us to go outside?
Said hide again.
Hide again?
Yeah.
Alright. You guys have got this. Let's see what they say when I walk out. Go and try to talk to them. I'm going to go ahead and continue to record. I'm going to step outside.
Okay.
Not unless one of you want to follow me, one of you want to stay up here, doesn't matter, or you both can stay up here. This will be your opportunity to hear, but I'm going to walk on the front porch.
Whoa, dude, that just shut off on its own. When you're talking about going outside, it stopped.
Whoa.
light's still on inside that bag too. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a red light on inside that bag. Yeah, see, it's still on, but something come disconnected.
No.
So nothing happened.
Unplug it and plug it back in and it goes right back on.
But did you even touch that whenever you were?
No, it just happened.
I think the batteries in your spirit box need changed out.
Just changed them.
So that's your spirit box in there.
The batteries are right there.
Well, he said that he uses them a couple times and then he doesn't use them again. That's crazy. Yeah, you did just turn them out. Now you can see it's still sweeping, but there's no sound coming. There's the sound.
You know what? I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird. Who's coming up the stairs right now?
Kent.
Hello? Your name's Bob? Bob, have I heard from you before?
Yes, you have. Did you hear that?
I did not.
Bob, are you the one that was murdered in Newport? Can't wait to play that in slow motion. Bob, do you know who killed you?
He used a gun.
He used a gun. You were shot 3 times. Do you remember this? You didn't know who I was talking about, did you?
No.
He was shot 3 times.
Really?
Bob, I want to solve your case. The police still haven't found who killed you.
That was loud.
Yeah.
Do you know who killed you? Bob?
Now again, when it comes to the spirit box, I'm very iffy. I don't really have a solid, I don't necessarily think that it's a sure way to get evidence. It does interesting things. It says interesting things. Again, I've already mentioned, the fact that one was more chattery than the other one. That was interesting to me. Kent is seeming to hear things that I'm not hearing. Definitely in the moment, it's hard to determine what you're hearing. And it isn't until that you go back and listen to it, in the recording where certain things might stick out a little bit more. But there was plenty of things with him being like, oh, it said this or it said that. Again, that's just something that paranormal investigators do. But something that happened that I found really interesting was, he says something about a spirit named Bob. And he asks, have I spoken with you before and all this? And he says, you were killed. Do you remember how you were killed? Something like that. And I heard what sounded like he used a gun. Now, while in post, in editing, I'm thinking, okay, is this Kent taking an opportunity? Is he taking an opportunity to spin a yarn here? Is this something that, I said, oh, he used a gun, and Kent is taking liberties to kind of exploit that. So I decided let's look up and see if there were any murders back in 1975 in Maine of a man who was shot 3 times. And it turns out that did happen. A guy named Robert McKee was working at a gas station, and, you know, people had come and they had seen him. He worked there for a long time and he had regulars. The last person to see him alive was a police officer. And then within 2 hours of that police officer seeing him, someone came to that gas station and shot Robert 3 times and killed him. And it's an unsolved mystery to this day. That is pretty astounding to me because I had no idea about this story during the time that I was there. I had no reason to believe that, you know, I heard he used a gun, other than I heard it. That's what I heard come through. So that was pretty interesting. More so afterwards, you know, during my editing and putting together a documentary, finding that piece of evidence was like, wow, that's a really strong case in Kent's defense that, you know, spirits are talking to him and he's actually getting some sort of information from this. We are at the end of day 2. Luke and I have 1 day left in Kent's house. And my thoughts on the day are complicated. Now, there were some very interesting firsthand experiences with the Ovulus and the Robert McKee story. Going through and recreating some of Kent's most viral videos, I am definitely left with those videos are not genuine. Now, the big question here, Kent definitely has something going on at his house. If you ask me or Luke, we'll both tell you, yes, we encountered very strange things at his house that we feel aren't explainable. We're also not the type to quickly jump to that conclusion. Voices seemingly coming from nowhere in the room with us, and upon going through my footage, finding all of these EVPs and EVPs yet to be disclosed, I am left with Kent's house is haunted. But that question, the big question, if Kent is experiencing genuine paranormal phenomenon, why in the world would he risk faking evidence? Why would he do that?